But as the only Trump voter here, I don't agree with anything any of you are saying. And the important thing is a new Q poll that came out on April 15th this week that shows the president still has the support of 88% of the Republican Party. Same poll at the end of the Biden term had him at 71%. Trump is immensely popular with the Republican base, despite all of the things you might say. None of you are Trump voters, and that's fine. Yep. But don't speak for Trump voters. We don't agree with what you're saying.
So there's a lot of hand-wringing in MAGA world right now. Trump's approval numbers keep dropping, and we're even seeing some hardcore MAGA types starting to express buyer's remorse. We've got a panel from Abby Phillips' show, Joe Borelli melting down, SE Cupp going off on Trumpers. I've got thoughts on both sides of this. Let's get into it.
It's no secret many in MAGA aren't too thrilled with Donald Trump for some portions of the things he's been doing now, from the Epstein files to the economy and now the war. They say he promised to never start. Many of the loudest people who helped get him elected are starting to say they have buyer's remorse. Our friend SE had this to say to many of them after the president's threat to wipe out a civilization.
You and your buyer's remorse. Who would listen to you now? Who would listen to you? You got us here. You voted for him. You told everyone they have to vote for him, right? It's going to be World War III if you don't vote for him. Give me a break. No one cares what you have to say anymore. We told you so.
But some, particularly on the Democratic side of the aisle, are opening their arms.
The thing that has been very fascinating, especially about Marjorie and Candace, is that they are not just coming out like the other ones that you'd mentioned, where they're saying this action is wrong, right? They're saying, I am done with you.
Yeah, it's like a values based. Like, right. This guy is bad, not like this policy is bad.
Right. And I think that we should give them credit for that.
The message cannot be, I told you so. The message has to be, welcome aboard. What else can we do together?
SE, you are by no means a MAGA defector. You were never in
early and often to never Trump.
Early and often. You screamed no. No to what?
I have been out in these streets too long, Sarah.
In these streets?
I have been out in these streets since 2015, opposing this un-American, anti-democratic, fascistic garbage. And while at the same time, these people that they're mentioning, the Marjorie Taylor Greenes, that name them, the long list, have been defending it for fun, for money, for clicks, for fame. There is not all converts are created equal, and we should not. It's not just for Democrats to decide. It's for never Trumpers who are conservative as well to decide. We should not be aligning with people who are losers, liars, and grifters, who have only come to see the light because either it's politically expedient or it's profitable or whatever. Now, I say to voters who have lost their appetite for Trump, absolutely. Congratulations. I'm sorry he disappointed you. I know exactly how he did by promising you things he's completely ignored. I get you. Come on over. The water's warm. But for the professional liars, losers, and grifters, no, we don't want you. And just because you've come to where we have been for 10 years doesn't mean you get to use us to launder your reputations. Not happening on my watch. And I don't like this conversation where it's like, well, shouldn't we give them credit? No credit. It's at the 11th hour. It's the 11th hour of this. He is a lame duck. He is gone in 2 years.
Guys.
What took you so long? I'm sorry. Somebody stop me or I will just...
Look, I agree with SE Cupp on this. You can't throw a lifeboat to Tucker Carlson and Megyn Kelly. These people are just reading the room. They see the MAGA wave crashing, and they want to be positioned for whatever comes next. That's it. But here's where I push back on Democrats. Stop chasing mythical Republicans who are never going to vote for you. That has been the party's problem for too long. You've got an actual base, actual voters who support you. Go talk to them. And these never-Trumper types, if you bring them into the Democratic Party, they're not suddenly going to be on board with Medicare for all or ending foreign wars. They're going to spend all their energy pulling the party to the right. That's not a coalition. That's a compromise you can't afford.
Yeah, exactly.
This is personal. I've gotten death threats. I have lived this life at the expense of profession, at the expense of friendships, at the expense of money. I've done it. It's been hard, but it's my conscience telling me to do it. You don't get to flip a switch and say, I don't like him anymore. Can I be with you guys? No.
Do you see who she's talking about, who are constantly out there and were very supportive, and now they turn on some things, not all things, but they turn on some things very differently than you see, for example, a Liz Cheney or someone in that camp who...
Fundamentally different.
Yeah. Should the Democrats open their arms to, I mean, Liz Cheney is very conservative?
No. What I think I see...
In the Liz Cheney thing, that was a massive mistake. This is a deeply conservative person who just happened to dislike Trump, probably because Trump went after her dad. That's it. She was saying horrible things about Democrats right up until it was convenient not to. And Kamala Harris campaigned with her? You're not winning suburban Republicans with that move. You're just confusing your own base. Democrats need to stop chasing voters who aren't coming. Appeal to the people who actually show up for you with progressive policies, not by drifting further right.
Is reacting to righteously is a deep frustration at the folks who enabled this.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden are trying to say, wash their
This is
hands.
too much for me.
Who could have known that it would turn into this? Anybody. After January 6th, anybody could have known this if they chose to pay attention to what he'd said and what he'd done during the first term, particularly if they were self-described conservatives.
Joe,
But hold on, but
he's not done.
a successful pro-democracy movement. Look at what just happened in Hungary. Look at the study of successful pro-democracy movements. They've got to be positive, patriotic, and inclusive. Positive, patriotic, and inclusive. So it's good to castigate the corruption and the rising costs and the cronyism and the chaos and cruelty, all of that. But you got to welcome people in and set a big tent message. And so there shouldn't be purity tests in a pro-democracy movement.
For voters.
For
Marjorie
voters.
Taylor Greene, like 5 minutes ago, was still saying that the insurrectionists were patriots.
Right.
Are patriots. These are people who would still vote for Trump if they were in his favor. I'm sorry. We need to be skeptical of the folks who are claiming us in their name. I'm not talking about voters. You're right.
I come at this from a foreign policy perspective. I've, again, 10 years of following Trump. Everyone thinks they know what his foreign policy doctrine is, right? Oh, he campaigned against intervention. He's going to be tough on China. Now he's going to make a deal with China. No more wars, no more globalism. And sooner or later, everyone figures out that Donald Trump has no core foreign policy principles whatsoever. And they change all the time based on whoever he talked to last. Maybe he has a financial interest. Maybe his kids have a financial interest. Maybe he just gets talked into it by another foreign leader. And so, of course, if you stake your sort of foreign policy identity on no more wars, and we're not going to do Middle East interventions, we're not going to send young American men and women to fight and die in a far-off place for unclear reasons, unclear justifications. Well, the Iran war is the opposite of all of that. So he's forced all of these people who claimed that they were for Trump's foreign policy to either pick between their own integrity or following him to the exact opposite foreign policy. And some of them are going to follow him, and some of them are going to maintain whatever semblance of foreign policy integrity they have left. And they're both bad choices because they're both based on this premise that Donald Trump actually has a view of the world and America's role in it that isn't liable to change tomorrow. And guess what? It's going to change tomorrow again.
Joe, what do you make of what you're hearing from the Megyn Kellys and the Tucker Carlsons and Benny Johnsons?
I think SE's right. I think these are people who are grifters. They're going for clicks, payments, or their own aggrandizement, and they flip because it's politically expedient for them or profitable for them, and that's fine. But as the only Trump voter here, I don't agree with anything any of you are saying. And the important thing is a new Q poll that came out on April 15th this week that shows the president still has the support of 88% of the Republican Party. Same poll at the end of the Biden term had him at 71%. Trump is immensely popular with the Republican base, despite all of the things you might say. None of you are Trump voters, and that's fine. But don't speak for Trump voters. We don't agree with what you're saying.
And here's what really worries me. Democrats are going to fall for this big tent thing again. I actually know a guy, grew up with him, biggest Trump supporter I know in real life, worships the guy. And just this week, he posted something critical of Trump, selling off national lands. Finally, something hit close enough to home that he's upset. But here's the thing. He's not voting Democrat. Not for Gavin Newsom, not for AOC, not for whoever's next. He'll happily fall in line behind J.D. Vance or Tucker Carlson or whoever the next Republican is. That 30-something%, they might sour on Trump, but they are not coming over, ever. So Democrats cannot fall into this trap again. Reaching out to never-Trumpers, rolling out the welcome mat for Liz Cheney types? No. If these people want to come over and genuinely say, we were wrong about defense budgets, tax cuts for the rich, Medicare, all of it, great, welcome. But they're not going to say that. They're going to try to drag the party right. That's it. Let them fix their own party or start a third one. But there is no place for them in a Democratic Party that should be getting more progressive, not less. SE Cupp's right about the grifting. Tucker, Megyn Kelly, they're just repositioning for whatever comes after Trump. But don't let them in. Drop it in the comments. SE Cupp or Joe Billy. Like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.